Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of I Think I'm Human Too. Erin is with us today. Hey besties. Random, but Erin was here hanging out and I was like, wait, come on the pod this week. I mean, why the heck not? Let's just surprise.
Yeah, man.
Focus on the mic.
Focus on me.
We literally just had this conversation.
I know
and
we
Erin's
did,
like,
but
hey, everybody.
I'm just so excited. Who do I look at? Do I look at them? Do I look at you?
You can look at me. You can look at the camera, whatever you want.
Perfect.
But again,
I'm so excited.
Focus on your microphone. What's new with you?
Okay. Not much, man. We're at the home stretch of senior year of college.
I know.
So that's really exciting. Got some big things in the works behind the scenes. I hope y'all love new clothes.
I know you kind of did like a little mic drop on Instagram.
Yeah.
Aaron has been working on a project and he posted on his own Instagram, and I'm the big sister that's like,
go Kylie, go.
Not only that, but like they'll be like at the edge of the dock, like, do I jump? They'll like put their little toes in. They like dip their little fingers in. And I'm like, go, motherfucker, and I shove them. So Aaron like posted on his own personal Instagram. I reshared it to my 220,000 fucking followers. How many followers did you get from it on your?
Probably like 100 or so, which was like a good, dip in the
nice.
water type of thing. But it just really echoes to when we were kids and you would actually push us into the water.
Oh, dead serious. This episode of I Think I'm Human Too is sponsored by BetterHelp. I am so excited that they were able to give you guys a code. I am the biggest advocate for therapy because if you guys have followed me and listened to me for quite some time, you know that I have said everybody needs therapy. It's not just people who've gone through horrible life experiences and traumatic experience by any means. If you've ever had a vision in your head or a goal or something you want to do and your own brain gets in the way of that, that's something you could go to therapy for. They're trained professionals. They'll sit you down. They'll talk to you about what you want to accomplish, what you want to change, where you want to be, and they'll give you the stepping stones. They provide you the tools of how to become the person that you have in your own head and it'll get your brain out of your own way. I absolutely love BetterHelp. Again, I don't think it's for people that are just going through traumatic experiences in this lifetime. I think every single person can benefit from therapy. And not only that, BetterHelp's an online service, so you don't have to go in somewhere. You can do it from the comfort of your own home. You log in, you fill out a questionnaire, they'll match you with a therapist, and then if you don't like that therapist or you're not vibing well, you can try another one for free of charge. You can find until the right one fits for you. So I absolutely love that, and they did give us a code. You are going to go to betterhelp.com/human2 today, and you'll get 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/human2. Make your brain your friend, you guys, and you can do that by trying out BetterHelp.
So
I'm not a supporter. I'm not doing it to hurt you.
Get the fuck out my way.
But like if the water was dangerous water, I would pull you the opposite direction. Thanks. So just know that I do it with the best intentions.
Oh. Love you so much.
I love you so much. So last week I had talked about like Botox fillers and cosmetic surgeries and stuff, and I have a bunch of questions to go over with you guys, but I wanted, since I have you, and this is literally so last minute, like I'm not even exaggerating, like 2 minutes ago I was like, do you want to go?
Hey, what you doing? Do you want to come on?
Yeah, come on, let's talk about life. What's new with you? You got college.
I'm almost done with college.
What's your plan after that? Do you have any hopes and aspirations that you're working towards?
So my degree is going to be in public relations.
Closer to your face.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Can y'all hear me? My degree is going to be in public relations.
Okay.
So I'm really hoping to take that wherever it would go. I would love to kind of do that in the digital social media space, do it in the fashion space. I don't really know. There's a lot of different avenues that the industry allows for. It's just kind of the trickiest part is kind of getting into it in the beginning. So we'll see where that kind of pans itself out. I do have a lot of aspirations on where I want to go very soon.
I love that.
So it's just kind of we'll wait and see once I get closer to my graduation date and go from there. But yeah, those are the two kind of industries I want to.
If you could pick the perfect job when you're done, do you have an idea of like what it would be?
Okay, so here's the hard part with it. When like everything in the classroom setting, it's like you could be like I don't know how to properly describe it, but there's just like a million different things to a million different topics in a million different corners of the industry.
Okay.
And like, it's just really hard to like nitpick, I mean, of like which corner I want to do. But a perfect job for me would definitely just be something that's like on the go, on the move. I like working with different projects, different assignments. If it's in the brand space and social media, working with different brands would be really fun.
So you want to be on the brand side?
I think so. And to me, that kind of indicates or mimics like an agency, if you will.
Okay.
Because in the education space or like they were just like it's corporate or it's agency, and corporate has these benefits and agencies have these benefits. And I think just for like the full service of like how much I want to work on and like what I want to be exposed to early on in my career, would the benefit of that comes with an agency.
I think you could fit in an agency because then you would get the brand side and the creator side, depending on what type.
Exactly. And I want to kind of stay within the creator world and kind of see where that brings me. I think it'd be really cool to kind of work on both ends of what creators have to offer and how to properly network them on their behalf to different spaces and different brands or media platforms or what have you.
Yeah.
And kind of see where that all ends up.
What made you choose that path?
I kind of just fell into it. I think.
What did you go for originally? Sorry, I know I just cut you off. But
I was in nursing.
I
Could
forgot.
you imagine?
No.
I watched Grey's Anatomy right before I declared my major freshman year.
That's the most fucking Gen Z thing I've ever heard in my life.
I was
watching Grey's Anatomy and I
was
decided.
like, give me a motherfucking scalpel right now. And then we were talking about cells and mitochondria, and my dusty professor at the time really encouraged me by the lack of their performance to go a separate route.
Damn, I forgot all about that. That was like day one college though.
Yeah.
Because you've switched a couple times.
Yes, it went from nursing to psychology to who the fuck knows.
No freaking
to
clue.
advertising.
Shout out to No Freaking Clue.
Hey, Abby.
Okay, so that's a very normal thing. I think a lot of kids go into college thinking, some kids do. They're like, no, I know 110% I'm going to be a lawyer. Like I'm following all the way through. But your journey was kind of more common in my eyes of like changing majors. Obviously, it costs more time and money. And you've been in college a little bit longer than quote unquote the original.
The average student, yes, but my degree process has been the same.
Yeah.
I took some time off during COVID, and that's why I'm kind of
right.
midterm.
Yeah, I forgot you were
just for
yeah
y'all out there.
You were in that random COVID stage too, which I do want to say, like if you're out there and you're listening to this and you're like at that level of life of just not knowing what you want to do, whether it be a college degree or a job in general, I think it's very important to know that that's an okay life experience to have, and it's a very common and normal. I don't think at 18 when they ship you off to school and they're like, figure out what you want to be. Like I still don't even know at 26, almost 27 years old. So I'm proud of you for continuing on and not just sticking to one path because it's just what you thought it was supposed to be. I think at that age, I've talked many times about it. It's a very pivotal stage in your life where some people are going off and joining the military. Some people are becoming stay-at-home moms. Some people are going to law school. Some people are dropping out and doing drugs. Like there's so many different paths at that time in your life of change. And I think it's very important. It's so scary when they're like, just pick a path, like figure out what you want to do. And it's like, I'm proud of you for going to college. I'm proud of you for sticking through college, but not only that, but trusting yourself and saying, you know what, like what I originally chose is not for me. A lot of kids don't do that. And they're like, well, my mom said I have to go to nursing school, or my mom said I have to go be a publicist, or my dad said I have to be a cop. Like you've had your own journey and I'm very proud of you for sticking through it, especially staying longer term. Like that's hard. And you're like, now I know, maybe you can speak a little bit about this. Sorry, I'm kind of throwing you into the water here, but like you're at that stage now where now you're almost 23. Most people in your age group are either done with school or looking at career, like full-time careers. Where is your mental state now? Like still being in school, having a boyfriend that's outside of school, like in his profession, your friends are kind of getting into their profession, but you're kind of in that treading water phase of still being in school. How do you feel like, how do you handle that?
I first thought of it as like definitely like a weird limbo to be in, kind of like while everyone's moving past you, you're kind of like stuck almost behind. If that was my initial thought process. And I really try to reframe it early on. It was just like another, X amount of time of structure. It's another 5 months, however long the semesters are, of routine, or I don't know, just like trying to rephrase it in a way that didn't make me feel like life was passing me by. It was like my peers and friends were kind of still moving forward. And kind of as time has gone on, I've kind of grown thankful for it, in the sense that like it really has become a new routine for me. It's allowed me a lot more time to kind of try different things out, test out what I like, kind of really hone in on what I want to do to an extent. I think that just not knowing what was coming next was kind of a benefit of the doubt kind of thing, and that also knowing that like nothing sticks or has to stick, to your point about like majors and always switching them. Like even if you decide advertising's it, but like once I'm in the career setting, maybe it's like, damn, like
yeah,
I don't want to do this, and thank God like my degree will be broad enough that I could be like, I can go write for a magazine, or I can go do this. Not saying I need to stay within the limits of my degree specifically, but I will have to say that this extra time has really allowed for me to kind of take a better look at what I want, and then honestly be more intentional with like what I want to put my time into outside of school. Be like really intentional on learning this side of the industry, learning this side about some sort of design work, or put more time into a clothing brand, or just really dedicated into different facets, rather than be like, oh shit, everyone's in their jobs right now. Like, what am I going to do?
Something as a sister, and just not even as a sister, but as somebody watching from the outside, but I'm very close. I'm not technically on the outside, but like a first row seat to your life. I am a big advocate for, and obviously like if you've listened to this podcast for quite some time, I'm an advocate for doing what's absolutely best for yourself. And when you took that time in college and your early stage, when COVID first hit, that was your first year at school, right?
Yeah, I was a freshman and we got kicked out early March.
Yeah. So, and you took the time, you came home, and this is when we were all living together at the time, which, side note, that was like the best times of our life.
So
it was the best time of my life, in my opinion. One of the coolest memories I have. But you had a really hard decision where you were like, I need a mental break. Like I need to, the world was at fucking shit. It was wild. You had just started to experience your own life and then got uprooted. You were going through your own life changes at that time. And I think it's a really big and monumental moment for you to take a step back and have that conversation with mom and dad and say like, you know what, like I really just need, my anxiety is getting the best of me. Did you even know you had anxiety at that point?
Not to the degree, and I recognized, I think, in the future. And I think too, just like with the state of the world and just my life specifically at that time, it was just kind of like, oh, like this is just like a normal feeling. Cause I, in that time of COVID, transferred colleges. And so that was just another like disarray aspect that came in. And it was just kind of like turn left and right. And that's when I took the break off of schools after my first semester at the U of M. And during that time, there was a lot of other like background stuff in life happening with an apartment and like chaos in life, and just like that is when I think really like anxiety kind of kicked in, because it was like, well shit, like I'm here alone.
Everything's in shambles.
Everything's in shambles. All my friends are up north. Like I don't have any here. Like everything in that setting in that time was a mess, and then it was moving back home properly, and I was like, oh my God.
You also went back from, you got quote unquote free, and I say free like you weren't a prisoner at mom and dad's, but like when you get into your dorm room and you're free, right?
You're like that door shuts and you're like, first you're scared, but then you're like,
ooh, I can get used to that. This is all that you do right here.
Where did those people
this
go?
Shit nice.
No one's knocking at my door now.
But you went from freedom. And then you came home, and again, I mean that in a very light term. Then you came home. Me and Raphael were living there. Our younger brother was still living there. Mom and dad. COVID was shut down. Everyone was there. So then you go from like two completely opposite extremes. So I think, and then you then you got another dorm, and then shit went shit there. It was just, oh my God, that was so funny. Sorry, I know.
It was a lot of back and forth, but yeah.
He had like a leak or some shit, and it like molded his entire apartment.
Yeah. on top of like some very challenging roommates.
Oh my God,
And
I
then
forgot
past
all about this.
that, they subletted to an even worse roommate,
Like a stranger.
a stranger who just like scared old people in like department stores and retail stores on the internet,
yeah,
like
not
literally
goodness.
like old people, and like would berate, and he thought it was hilarious. I was just like moving myself out one day and he's like showing me these videos and I'm like, huh? And
Yeah.
he's like, I'm like, can I go in my room after like they cleaned up all like the mold and everything like that, and they were still trying to get me to like pay for it. And I went in there. He's like, oh yeah, like my brother's been sleeping in there, and I'm like,
Ew.
I just threw everything away.
In your bed? I didn't know that part.
I was like, oh my God. So to the point of just like life was chaotic. The freedom I once had, and like to an extent there was their freedom as like a freshman in college.
It's the vision,
but, like,
almost.
Yeah.
The vision of like my normal college experience. Why did I watch everybody else go through this normal experience and now I'm in this one? You know?
Then like to like the inverse of that was like going back home, and it's like just the world. There was like
yeah.
a plethora of new restrictions, and it's like, well, having that on your shoulders on top of going back into like the constraints of whatever your upbringing environment looks like, because there's good and bad on all sides of it, but sometimes people value the negatives more, which is unfortunate. And I think in that time and where I was, it was just kind of like, damn, like the world shut down, so there goes my freedom outside of like this four walls, and now it's whatever. But
now I'm back with the fan band.
at least I got y'all in that
It
process.
was fun. I will say it was awkward, obviously, because we also got to think of like, let's look at the family as a whole, especially as a college kid, what you were going through. Like mom and dad were working. Obviously that's completely normal. Raphael was in a complete career. Like he was so like mature and moved on, and like he's a full adult in the house. Then your sisters, planning a wedding, like life changes are happening. And then our younger brothers, like,
he's finishing up his high school experience.
yeah. So like everyone in the house was at different levels. So you had nobody to relate to in that stage of my life just got uprooted. I'm in college. Like nobody was really there for you in the sense of just understanding. So I don't know. I think that's something that I did want to say again. Like I'm very proud of you because I'm a huge advocate for taking time off for sure, especially if you're realizing it's for a mental health. And like at your age, a lot of kids don't know that like mental health is really a thing. They're kind of like figuring it out. Have you ever been diagnosed with anything? Like, sorry, you don't have to answer that. No,
nothing on the books.
Do you think you have something like anxiety or anything?
Sure.
You think you have anxiety?
For sure, yeah. I can't really recall exactly when it probably persisted or started.
But see, exactly, like at your age now, you're still like, do I know 100% if I have it? No, but I can say pretty much I know I've got anxiety. But think at that age, like you're like, you just think fucking life sucks. And then you're just like, damn, this all sucks. And
woe is me kind of thing.
Yeah, and you don't. But I'm proud of you for taking a step back and being like, you know what, something's wrong. Because I remember you going through a lot of like kind of panic attacks and almost like a depressive state of like, he would, and Aaron is not like that. Like Aaron is, what time do you get up every morning now? Like 6?
Well, I mean, the past week has been difficult, but yeah, I'm typically a 6 to 7 a.m.
He's a very routine person. Like since the day he came out the womb, he was bossing people around about like, not bossing people around in the sense of like, you do this, but he's like, I do this, I do this. Like you either with me or what? Like
I was pressed when people wouldn't load the dishwasher the most efficiently. Or how efficient, whatever the word is. But
you
like,
might have a touch of OCD in you.
Oh, for sure.
Maybe like a touch of OCD in you. But no, so like at that age you were or in that time frame of your life, he was like sleeping in. He had blackout curtains. He would literally sleep in like pretty much all day. He wouldn't want to leave his room. He would just eat and drink, and then that was it. So it's very strong of you to take that break and to figure out what the fuck's going on and then get refocused and get back into it. And I think that's my biggest point of this is you got back into it. A lot of people go in, myself included, of I'm going to take the time off, and you find other avenues. And if that avenue is important to you, and like, obviously like me, I didn't finish. And like my path has been the path that it's supposed to be, but I think you were supposed to go back and finish. I think it's very important that you did it, and I'm proud of you for continuing. And then continuing on your self-growth too, especially at your age. And I wanted to tie this back in of you're kind of in that limbo period of seeing other people around you, but I think you've put in the work for yourself. So I really think you're actually further than a lot of kids your age, or even the kids that are studying in your house still, or whatever or like in a career. I think you've put in the self work that a lot of kids your age don't do. So I'm serious.
No,
I'm being very serious.
Thank you, Bessie. I love hearing that.
I'm proud. I'm excited for you. I think you're going to look back in the future. You're going to look back and be very proud of the work that you put in and the dedication and just the self-help. Because you'd rather do that now. And I think anyone listening, if you're a younger student or if you're a younger person at any age, doesn't even matter if you're 40, like you're only getting older, right? I would rather put in the work now and look back in 5 years and be like, I'm so thankful I put in the work when I realized I needed to put work in, whatever age that may be. But you were ahead of the curve. So I don't want you to get down about yourself and look around at your peers and say like, holy shit.
I would have to say to that point, just for anyone who's like, just, debating on like maybe taking time off or just like needing some extra like time for themselves to work on themselves. None of this, like in my process at least, like was linear. Like I wasn't starting this like regrowth mindset like during like down in the dumps of like back in COVID. This was like definitely the past few months that the efforts have been really kind of seen some sort of productive outcome. So just saying that like there's no proper time, it doesn't feel right normally, just kind of like as you kind of see it, you kind of have to do it or kind of feel it. They're always told by like doctors or just kind of keep an eye on yourself or, take it slow, take it easy. But I think those are just kind of like, in a way, like signs, just kind of of reiterating, just like really be thoughtful about yourself, take care of yourself, and just like know yourself and your signs, like even if it is as simple as like eating and drinking water or something like that, you've noticed like you're doing more or less, like pay attention to those things. It might not be like in a really be something really deep and internal or anything like that, but sometimes those are preliminary causes to something that might be overarching depending on like how the rest of your life is going. So just trying to be mindful, I think, is really important and something that's kind of often lost in like the chaos of life.
Hello. I know I have shared Magnesium Breakthrough with you guys before, but I truly mean it when I say it is one of the best things that I can take for myself every single night. I keep them on my nightside table. I take 2 of them every single night because one of the hardest parts for me is not only falling asleep, but getting good sleep, staying asleep, and then just waking up the next morning, just feeling so cruddy already, just starting your day is not fun. So when I found Magnesium Breakthrough, it has not only, most magnesium supplements have 1 to 2 forms of magnesium in it, but Magnesium Breakthrough has all 7, which is absolutely phenomenal and probably the reason why I love it and why it works so well. Every morning when I wake up, I feel well rested. My brain feels less foggy. I'm ready to start the day. And I just feel good about the night before and the sleep that I got the night before. It helps me fall asleep, stay asleep, get good sleep. And I just love waking up feeling well rested. I think you guys should really try them out. They did give Human 2 listeners a code for you. So I'm going to get the code. You are going to go to magbreakthrough.com/human2. That's magbreakthrough.com/human2. And your code is human2, all one word. Happy sleeping. That's another thing that I want to touch on is you are extremely, just like what you said, like you didn't wake up one day and you're like, I'm going to get mentally right. Like
fix me now.
Yeah. You are very intentional with what you put in your body, where you spend your time, where you give your energy, where you put your boundaries. Like you truly are like an inspiration and somebody that I really look up to when it comes to focusing on, and it's not even that you do it necessarily for yourself in that manner of like, I mean, obviously a lot of it is like, okay, I need to care about my own mental health and like my own health and well-being, but you also do it because you want to show up and be the best person for your close circle, which that's like something you and I have in common. But normally I go opposite of like, I drain myself from my circle and you're like, I need to be my best for the circle to grow. Like in that way.
It's kind of funny because I feel like to that point, like that's how I kind of started learning how to do it, is like showing up for other people in the best way. I would always say that you kind of always like reiterate to like celebrate our successes, kind of always be the number one supporter, always show up for people. It's like my quick emergency contact happens to be you. And to those points, like there's so many good things, but to say about you. But that being said, like showing up in like the proper way was something I kind of learned from you, and I think our dad too, of just kind of like of how you want to be presenting to the world kind of reflects yourself in a way. That's kind of how I've taken it on and kind of learned from you, and like just always like through experiences being able to rely on like you as my sister, as my friend, and being able to like share our circle of friends and family and be able to do that with you, and how that has like supported my growth is kind of like a fun little paradox I got going on.
That is for sure your strongest suit, is you always show up every single time. And not only that, you show up with a smile on your face. You and Eli both, like you guys show up with a smile on your face. It could be like shit's going on. You guys could be fighting. Like he could have just lost his job. Like you just lost a room. Like whatever. Like I'm just throwing out random ass ideas. But you guys always show up and you put your personal life on the back burner to smile and be present. And I just love that about you guys. And it is kind of funny. So Aaron and his boyfriend are literally our friend group. So it's me, Raphael, our cousin Eric, Savannah, Haley, her husband, and then me, or you and Eli. And I find it so funny because a lot of times siblings don't get along and they don't want to interfere, like friends and siblings or family or whatever. And or even like our cousin, like I see him as a friend over family, and like same with you. I'm like, oh yeah, he's my brother. But like when we're all out and about, I'm like, oh yeah, Aaron, like he's Aaron, like he's an adult, like he's a real person. He's a human being with his own thoughts, opinions, like, and you continuously just live. I don't know, you're just like a normal person to me. I don't see you as like my little brother. Like,
I think that's just kind of like the benefit of being able to like grow up like alongside one another. Yeah. I think I have the same thoughts. I'm like, yes, you're my sister, and like I look up to you, but I'm like, that's just like my best friend Catherine, or like our cousin Eric,
right?
Like, and we're all like very like touchy. We're like, oh, like what are you doing today, and like stuff like that. But it just is really fun that we're all able to kind of really just show up in the way we want to, be like amicable and just excited to see each other, and just funny, and never have anything like stick to us. It all just rolls off our back, and I don't know, it's just such a crazy thing to be like that siblings don't get along too, like first of all.
Right. Well, I guess I get it, because the older I've gotten, the more I've kind of realized, and I'm not even fucking kidding you when I tell you, like, I think it's just how the stars fucking align. Like, I'm not gonna get along with
the Libra over here,
you
to the Scorpio. Is that what you mean? Or
like,
yes, like, oh, okay.
I've tried so hard to just kind of like chalk it up to some people I just genuinely will not like in this lifetime. And I know that sounds really, really fucked up, but I'm like, not just now that I won't like, but like personalities just won't necessarily combine and mesh as well as other ones do. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you every single girl that I meet and I'm like, I'm obsessed with her. She's a Leo. I'm not joking. And Dad was a Leo. I'm not kidding, Aaron. Like, I'm literally not exaggerating. You guys are going to be like, this bitch is crazy. Stop reading your astrology books. I don't read astrology books, but if I did, I know a touch of crazy over here. It's fine. Okay. I need to be mentally diagnosed as well.
You know what to get you for your birthday.
But I'm being very
Here's
serious.
my full circle chart.
I really wonder if like sometimes siblings, because like look at like the siblings that don't get along. Do some research. I'm not joking with you.
You know, I'll look at some signs. I'll look at their stars. I think there's just like different ways to explain it. I do think, to maybe like your point, it has some validity. I do think some people... I
just chalk it up to the stars. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I don't want to do any more internal
I think some bitches are just stubborn as fuck.
Me? Literally me, as I'm sitting here saying, it's the stars. I'm just stubborn in the fact that I think it's the stars. Anyways, no, I really do. I love that you and I have always been like that. And like, I think it's funny because when we were kids growing up, a lot of people thought that you were following my footsteps.
Oh
and
my God.
I think it's so funny because you and I talk about this all the time of like, I don't think you're following my footsteps at all in personality, not in like in real life decisions. But a lot of people are like, oh, well, Aaron's like following what your lead is. And I'm sitting here like, 9 times out of 10,
she's following me.
I was like, this bitch is the mastermind. Like, just because I got the keys and I could drive the car doesn't mean he ain't telling me where to go.
We would be kids. I'd be like, can you drive? We're going to Goodwill. Like, come on. Well,
I will say I did force them to go shopping with me because they hated going to the mall alone. But no, I think you and I have always had very similar mindsets and alignments in
interests. Like, yes. I don't ever want to feel like we were at wrong for that by anyone in like life, or just like if you have similar interests or whatever. Like, I always chalked it up to like I wasn't following every single step or like you've laid out or everything like that.
Thank
it was just
God,
like
you'd be 10 years
I would be a
behind where you
mess in the nicest way. Like, if could you imagine if both of us were like where we were, like
I used to
at the same time in your 20s?
So, I used to want so badly for you to be 21 when I was 21. And now I look back, and then when he hit 21, I was at that stage of like, I was with Raphael.
You couldn't hang.
I could not hang anymore. Then I'm sitting here like, I don't think you and I would have been live if we were like, we would be in jail somewhere. We would be in the ditch. I'm just kidding. We weren't that bad. But like, I definitely feel like we would have been not where we are today.
No, and that's a different timeline.
That's a story for another day.
Yeah. No, to the point of just saying that.
We're talking about siblings and friendships and stuff.
Yeah. For us at least, I've always or even like your best friends or, close people in your circle. I always think that it's like, you're not like following each other's path. Like, you get a new friendship or a new person in your life and you can't stop hanging out with them or something like that. And people always will be like, oh, you favor them or you're on their side in a situation. I don't know if that's like, what kind of drama.
But your opinions are genuinely the same, yeah.
So it's like to the point of like your opinions are the same or you share similar interests or like, some things just coincide. Like, I don't think that's ever like should be discouraged by anyone. And like,
you also, sorry, I'm cutting you off because I have a point that I feel like is really fitting for this. Dad, and I've said this so many times, Dad was one of those people, he was so opinionated and so strong-headed. But one thing about him is he could still sit down and have a respectful conversation and hear both sides. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you, me, Raphael, Aaron, our older brother, we've all sat down with our dad about very deep and hard conversations. And a lot of the times, Dad would come out with a new perspective. Sometimes he might still think the same thing or he'd be like, you know what, but he'll at least have a different perspective.
Yes. And that's what I like to your point of like, he didn't change his mind all the time, but he was able to see and reconcile with just differences and like whatever that lay of the land looked like.
But I think you and I have that characteristic trait of you actually mostly have that one of like, that's your one of Dad's strongest characteristics, thank you, that you have is that you'll sit down and hear somebody out and you do it better than he did. Like you will sit there silently and just like fully absorb.
His ass was not silent at all.
We would have like it could be a 10-minute conversation. Like it could have been a 10-minute talk and it ended up being like a 3-hour conversation that then would go over like 4 different days. And then Dad would come back and be like, you know what, you're right. Like we've had racism conversations with Dad. Like Raphael sat down with Dad and said like very, very, very serious topics coming from a black man to a white man. Like it's different lives, but Dad just he never lived as a black man, obviously. Like that just is what it is. But he was at least open to hearing Raphael's side. And then it really changed Dad's outlook on a lot of things. And that's the same thing with you of like, I think a lot of people think that I've swayed your opinion. But I think there's still topics that you're very opinionated on and I'm completely opposite, but we can at least have that conversation of being like, well, here's what's up and here's my side and here's my thought. And even if we walk away still standing in the same square that we're in, we had that conversation. We had the respect. We listened. He's like, yeah.
No, the respect. I think that's often lost a lot.
Yes.
And that's kind of what, like, as I'm growing up, I'm like, oh, wait. Like, I've, like, never understood, I think, of, like, what a loss of respect was or even, like, to some degree what respect looked like in different spaces by separate people, whether it be like teachers or professors or bosses. Like those levels of respect often change, and I think I learned to kind of value it more when it was in like deeper rooted conversations. It's kind of where I kind of like learned about it and then it kind of translated differently into life. But
I think a lot of that is upbringing, and obviously like we share the same father, but we have different moms. And my mom's family's perspective was when we were old enough to have hard conversations and understand like the reality of the world, my mom started talking to us like an adult. I was like 14 and she'd be like, here's what's up. Like, this is what's going down. And there's been so many times, and our cousin Savannah is very much like that. Speak to me like a human fucking being, because I'm a human being. I'm old enough to understand. I'm old enough to absorb. You're very much like that, but you were raised in a different household where still to this day, like you and I are both still called or like all the kids are still called the kids. And we're like, there's like group chats of like the real adults, which are like the parents, and then the kids. And I'm like, but we're not kids. Like, I own a fucking house. I pay my goddamn mortgage. I pay my taxes. Like, let me talk about what it's really like to be an adult. Just because I haven't popped something out my cooter doesn't mean that I can't understand fucking math. Like, I'm being serious. Like, what in that generation?
To be fair, if it's not girl math, it's not for me.
If it ain't girl math, it ain't math in my mind. But I'm serious when it comes to like, it makes sense where, and I know maybe a lot of it was to protect you guys and shield you from the brutal truths of the world. But now we're faced with brutal truths, and I feel like sometimes I know better how to maneuver around them because I've been raised or I've been spoken to and like talked about real world things, and now you're facing them and you're calling me like, hey, what's up? Like, how do I get through this?
I completely agree with you. I don't think I had that exposure to at a certain age.
And there are pros and cons. Let me just say that.
Agreed.
Like, I'm not saying it's right or wrong at all.
No.
But I think you weren't raised with the respect of being a human. You were protected of being a child.
Yes. And I think those are kind of two very like, can be really like, I don't know.
Pros and cons.
Yeah, fought over. But I think the only thing I would like to speak on that kind of aspect is just that I do feel like there's been a lot of just like quick life learning of like different situations, different dynamics to figure out really recently in my life in plenty of different spaces. And just kind of, I think really like the big thing that kind of came from that is like a boundary setting thing that I've been trying to figure out really intentionally. And the fact that like sometimes you let people walk over you at work and can you do this like extra task for me? Can you cover the register? Can you do X, Y, or Z? And it's like, well, like some people are like, no, I've got to go home. I've got a kid. I've got another job. And like, granted, that's not my life, but I think to that point of just like the boundaries that could have been understood, I think, as a kid, and boundaries of different conversations and how to navigate them or maneuver them or whatever it may be, were something I really just weren't taught or understood, or I don't know, maybe on my own self just didn't understand until recently, and trying to even then like understanding it and then acting upon it is completely different. And so I think to the pros and cons side of it, it's a good and bad thing to be like, oh, I didn't have to worry about creating boundaries in certain spaces up to a certain time, and figure out these like tougher conversations or just even more like professional or like adult conversations.
You can hold a conversation too.
Now, I think a lot better. I think definitely like, if I was in high school working like my whatever job that was at the time and like asked to do something and just be like, well, yeah, like let me do it, when it's like I have no clue how to do this,
nor do you want to.
And that's like learning about yourself to just understand like this is a weakness of mine, and like trying to figure that out, and that's not easy to
you were also raised by dad, and dad was very much like, even just up until he passed, like Raphael and I were literally having conversations with him the week before about boundaries, no joke, and like and sticking up for himself in situations that he was really, really holding on to really deeply in his heart. And it was things that have transpired over like a long period of time. And I was like, Dad, like if these have been bothering you, like you need to start sticking up for yourself and speaking out loud and saying that. And I think both you and our younger brother like really followed kind of dad's footsteps, because you think of like, you see the man in the household and like you kind of follow like how that goes. And I think you realized, dad loves life and loves things, and like, but he was hurting with a lot of stuff. And I think you took the route of like, I want to not hold those things in my heart until I'm 50 years old. Like I want to start thinking of things. I want to start being intentional with my time and my energies and my boundaries. So I'm happy that you learned that, but I definitely think it was a situational thing. I think that might be a lot of households where they kind of follow in their parent. That's all households, right? You kind of follow in like the way your parents raise you. Pros and cons to every single parent out there, pros and cons to every single type of parent, parenting styles, gentle parenting, hard parenting, tough love, like whatever you want it to be. But I do think at a certain age, it comes to who do we want to be now? Not what do our parents want us to be, but who do I want to be? And when you think of the human being that you're working to become, what steps does that look like? Write it down of like, okay, well, if I want to be at this person in a year, what does that the next 365 days look for me? It's not like, oh, I need to do all the work to become that person in a year today. It's I need to take inch by inch for the next 365 days to slowly become a better version of myself. And you really, really put in time and energy and focus and dedication and intention. Like you're very strong in that suit. So I'm proud of you for that. And again, I think you're on a very similar path mentally, but you're on your own path. Like you're on your own, kid, right? Like T Swift says it best, but I don't know. So yeah, I'm glad we got to catch up. I did hire you on for some work just to kind of tide some things over. I was really needing some help with some stuff, and you're obviously in school for exactly what I was complaining to you about. And I was like, hey, this is what I need help with. And you're like, wait, this is actually like, I didn't realize like that goes on behind the scenes of a content creator and a business owner and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I didn't realize even what the fuck you did in school. I was like, yeah, I can know his major, but then I'm like, can you girl math it out for me? Like, I don't understand this. So you've been helping me out, and I love it.
I appreciate the space to be able to help.
Yeah, it's fun. It's definitely, he was here yesterday. He had to come in to film. You did a podcast thing for school, right?
Yeah, finally now. It's after years of case studies.
How wild is that it's like we never thought in our wildest of dreams that like this would be our life, and then like I didn't realize like a podcast studio would be something that you could even benefit from.
No, it's just like great how that kind of came full circle. Even the past like 2 weeks, it was like like I don't have to sit in a dusty campus little recording space. I can go to the
I think that's literally exactly what we were just talking about, of like we're on different paths, but the paths still intertwine. Literally right there is like a perfect example of like Aaron is his own person going for his own job, like going for his own degree, like blah, blah, blah. But I'm able to help. There's benefits. And that's exactly where we were going with. We're different, but we're very intertwined in the same way. So hello. I know I have shared with you guys AG1 before, but I absolutely love it because why complicate your routine when routines are already complicated enough? My favorite part about AG1 is that it is not gritty. It's not grainy. There is no texture to it. I know that sounds very odd, but I'm a texture girly through and through, and it is my favorite thing to add to my daily waters. It's got 75 minerals, probiotic, and vitamins in it that are going to help you and your body live a better day, which is always the best thing in my opinion. I do have a code for Human2 listeners. I will get the code for you. You are going to go to drinkag1.com/human2. That's drinkag1.com/human2. And they are also including for Human2 listeners, you will get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 AG1 travel packs, which are absolutely phenomenal if you're on the go a lot like me. So happy drinking, and I'm excited for you to check them out.
I don't know, man.
Anything else? How else has life been going? Anything you want to share with? I mean, we've been really deep. we were gonna talk about other things, and I was like, well, I guess we just unloaded here.
I don't know. I mean, what topics haven't we covered, or where should we go to next?
I don't know. What are you thinking? I always don't want because we didn't like debrief. Literally, I'm not kidding. Normally, like if I'm talking to someone, I'm like, hey, these are topics we're gonna cover. But I literally just kind of like threw you in, and I was like, if I ever ask something that you don't want to talk about, I'll just be like, okay, I'm
a good swimmer to go in the deep end with you.
Right. I literally just shove you off and say, good luck.
I don't know. What are
things you're working towards? Oh, yesterday.
I was just about to ask you, what are some aspirations you're going
We
for?
literally just yesterday, if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw that we had a mood board day.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago. Was it Eli that brought it up? What were we talking about when that got brought up of like doing one together? Because it was, of course, my idea of like, let's do a vision board. But we were talking about something spiritually, I think.
I definitely probably along the lines of like a manifestation or trying to understand what that looks like. I want to say we were out at dinner or something like that.
No, we were at his apartment. Remember we came over to just do espresso martinis and champagne, and we were all sitting there? I don't know.
Oh, you probably saw Eli's. Him and I made one at the beginning of the year. And I think I don't know how we got onto that topic, but you're supposed to do it 1 year, revamp them or something like that. And Eli and I did ours at the beginning of the year. So we're about 9 months in-ish from when we did it, 10 months. Mm-hmm.
So we saw Eli's, and I was like, it would be really fun for all of us to do them together. So I read a lot. Like I love to read. I love to read about different things. I love to even read like religious books or like people from a religious standpoint. I love to read people from a spiritual standpoint. I love to read fiction, nonfiction, whatever. I have been reading a lot, and one of the daily journals that I do is about just restructuring your mindset about like just positive energies every single day. And something that the person had covered in the book was a lot of people have the mindset of stay quiet, don't share your ideas. And I'm not that girl. Like, I cannot hold water. Like, I spill all fucking beans as soon as it comes in. Like, because I'm not the person that's like, I'm going to remain quiet, because this is, again, what a lot of people think, or like whatever, if you want to go spiritual, like the evil eye. Like, if you share what you're talking about, people can put bad energies around it, and then it cannot come to fruition, or like their negative energies around it can take it down, right? And I'm like, I go opposite of, I like to share what's going on. I like to, I don't know, I'm just weird. And her idea in that book was, with your closest friends that you can like really trust, you can really tell your goals and aspirations to, your hardships, like whatever, the people that you call like when shit's going down or when shit's going great, like those people, sit in a room, share your goals, and hold each other accountable for those goals. Mm-hmm. And I was like, holy shit. So when I brought it up to you guys, or when you guys I saw that you did those, I was like, oh my God, like I didn't even realize.
Me in.
Yeah. So we got Savannah, we got Raphael, because Savannah's all about that. Raphael was just along for the ride. Like that guy did not give a single shit about doing the assignment. Literally, my husband is a football player to a fucking T. Like, when you think of a stereotypical high school football player, he's only showing up to class because, one, it's pure entertainment for himself. Hey, two,
put some respect on my brother.
No.
He showed up.
He did, because he had to drive me, and because there was mimosas. No, because literally Raphael came, like, he is the most, you cannot even lie, he's stereotypically a
for sure
player.
He was looking
on
his phone.
His coach told him he had to. He sits on his phone, he's distracted to the class.
For a second, I love him so much, but like, I was asking, I gave him my email to put his pictures on this doc, and he just texted me my email, and I just like was looking at him for a little bit. I was like, I don't think he was doing that for like to remember it, but like I was waiting a long periodically time for him to just like put the photos in. I was like, so did you, like, could you not?
So you know what it was? This is Raphael's brain. He didn't go to his email to type in your email. He went to your text messages, and then he like emailed it out, or like he typed out your email and then hit send, just not thinking anything of it. And then was like, oh, he probably sat there thinking like, okay, now what?
I should just had him send the photos to me. We would have wrapped that up pretty quick. I was just sitting there, and he would just be like, he's just petting the dog. I was like,
literally, and oh my gosh. And then he's so funny, but I love him dearly. But no, he's literally the stereotypical football player of like, I just show up because I was told I have to be here. Mom won't let her. My wife won't let me go to sleep tonight if I don't come.
I'll get kicked off starting lineup if I don't participate.
Right, literally. Then he's there just for pure entertainment, to make fun of other people, to distract the class. Then I was getting annoyed. So then, of course, me and my husband are the one fucking couple that's
there's only
like,
two there.
Right. Like, but still, we're the ones that are like, I'm like, then he's stealing my shit. And they're like, well, I can't use yours. I'm like, mind you, we're getting way off topic. Anyway, so we did the manifestation boards.
Cut deep over there.
Because it's serious. Anyway, so we like did our performance goals, or not our performance goals. God, I just went back to corporate America real fast there. We just kind of shared
quarterly meet and greet.
Yeah. We shared our goals and all that fun stuff. So I don't know. I think my biggest goals for the next 6 months to a year, and really my lifetime, is I'm really huge into building community. Being human is the coolest experience I think we could ever have in this lifetime, of being individual, all living our own paths, whether they intertwine or they're never going to intertwine, whatever the case may be. Nobody's perfect. I think it's so cool to continue to build a community, but how do I build that community? And like all the goals that I have for there, of like, obviously I need to continue to build businesses. The businesses have to fund the things that I can do to continue to build community. I would love to be featured in a magazine one day. Like, I think it would be so cool to see I would love to model. I know I've said that on Bleep That Out. I haven't really shared that on Human Too, but I would love to model for brands that I truly love. Like, I don't want to be a runway model. Like, I couldn't see myself doing that, but being a model for like Hanes, that would be such a full circle moment of like, our dad was literally Hanes's #1 fucking investor. He literally bought a pack of underwear, like, not even joking, in every couple weeks.
I mean, he wouldn't clean them, so I'm sure it was weekly.
He wouldn't clean them. Our dad didn't like doing laundry. He was not a laundry guy. And then his mom and my stepmom got fed up with doing a fucking grown-ass man's laundry. So we would just sit there, so my dad would go buy new underwear. And then he would dry clean the rest of his clothes. Anyways,
I want to see like Hanes like analytics from like
no,
this
seriously.
one store,
this one Target,
in this one small part
card
of Minnesota.
number ending in 000.
Literally, like I just want to see the spike.
Right. I need to see how many he purchased in his lifetime. But I just think that would be cool. I do want to move states. I know I've talked about that a lot. What do you think about that? I guess I should throw that in there.
States for you?
Yeah. What is your idea there?
You know, scared, excited, not scared for like, oh my God, she's gone, but just like that is such a new life path. I think that it's just like a whole new adventure, you know, like when you were living down in Florida and coming up every few months, it would be like, okay, like I've got 6 more months, I've got 4 more months until Catherine comes back. And then
we did
like
countdowns of like when we could see each other.
Oh yeah, the little
we
Skype
were those
calls.
Siblings. We were like
sending each other little letters. I found one the other day too. I found a birthday card. It's like I think it's in my backpack actually. Funny story.
Cute.
But no. So we always had that to kind of look forward to is when you guys were coming back up.
Note, I always feel bad for my mom because when my mom would, because as unaccompanied minors, they would have to walk you to your gate, like not just security, but they would go through security with you and walk you to your gate. I would always feel bad for my mom. My mom would be like, okay, crying. She's like, bye. And we'd be like, bye. And then we'd like run down the jetway. And then when dad would take us to the airport and like he would walk us to the gate, we're all like bawling. We're like, bye, dad. Like I felt so bad for my mom. She was probably like, really, bitch? And then I would get home from into Florida and I would literally be bawling my eyes out still. And I'd be like, I just miss my, It was really sad. But I'm sure my mom was probably like, wow.
I get my kids back.
Well, my mom was like, my kids don't even like me. Like, what is Billy doing up there? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so continue on. So moving, yeah.
Yes. No, it's just like a new frontier, if you will, for just like our lives, like as young adults, like coming into our own. Like we just talked about like being who we want to be, showing up, and who we want to become, and like the life we want to create. And that's such a fun and exciting. And it's like fear of the unknown, and I hate that term of just like fearful or scared, but like, because I think it's so exciting and such like a blessing that when it comes together, it'll be right and it'll be meant to be in all of those facets. I'm excited to see where that also like lies with me. And like, cause I like in my head, I'm like, can I live in a state without you?
Are you going to be in Minnesota forever, you think?
Hell no. Get me the fuck out of here.
Where do you foresee yourself? Like, where would be your perfect vision?
Okay, well, that's hard because, like, my perfect vision is, like, a few years here and a few years there and a few years
I could see you in New
everywhere.
York for sure. I think you should do New York.
I do want to do
New
Texas
York so I have
with
somewhere
you.
to stay.
I want to see what Texas looks like with you for, like, a little bit. You know, maybe it's visiting.
You would come to Texas if we moved to
Texas? Like, obviously,
you would move there.
We would need to, like, I got to talk it out over here with Eli, but like...
He said with Eli. Who the fuck is Eli?
With Mans. No, I would think Texas would be a fun thing to do for like a little bit.
You know it's hot there, right?
It's hot out there, yeah.
You know that they're like, they don't believe in abortions. Yeah, they'll shoot you if you stare at them the wrong way.
I'm fully aware.
I'm just kidding. If you're in Texas and you're watching this, I'm just kidding. I'm being funny.
Side eyes the camera. Yeah, I think Texas would be a really fun thing to go do and just experience. And I think it kind of would really remind me of like, what do they call it? Like the hype house, but like it's the human house.
The human
or
house.
something like that.
The human house.
I don't know. I just think it'd be fun. I think it would really be like just a really cool experience of like going off of like out of college, you live with your friends. Like as we lived under dad's roof all together, it was like really fun as like just like friends and family. And like we had like our, you know, young friends from our neighborhood always joining us. And it was just like a really fun, energetic, always something going on space. And to that point, I think it'd be really great to like build that at a different stage of our life with the new people who have come into our circle and really like have elevated us and we elevate them, and trying to just be fun and have like our new community together and like share that. Because you know, I would love to be able to share this experience with you that I've done over here with, you know, my boyfriend or my housemates or this, but it's like, well, sometimes I wish you were there. Like, I would love to be able to be like, what are those experiences together?
We're a very liquid group. Like, we mesh very well and we move smoothly in new experiences. Like, we're all, and that's the other thing, we're very open to new experiences. Like, example, we literally did a full day of fucking mood boards and all of us together. Like, I think that that's a very strong foundation that we have is that we can just do new things and we're open to new things.
Right.
And like if you and Eli brought up a date night that we all want, like a fun group date night that none of us have done before, but you guys enjoy it, we would all show up and like we would try it out. And same like vice versa, like if there's something that Raphael and I love and we want to share with you guys, like you guys are always down for it. So I love that about our friend group is we literally are just like, we're down for new adventures. And I think it would be fun. I think Texas is not decided wholeheartedly yet. But I don't know. Wouldn't it be fun if you could like work with J1S or something?
Oh my God. Dream come true.
Dream come true. J1S.
Actually true.
I got a
college
new hire
students. For you. No, and I would love just an incredibly amazing opportunity like that down in Texas and anything like that. And I think to the point of just moving, like those kind of reiterate like our life paths are a little separate. Like you at this point in time are looking for another home, like more of like a settled down, like where can the dogs run around? Where can I really build like a life a little bit more and like put some roots down? And me being like still early in my 20s, I still want, there's a lot I want to experience. I would love to live in Texas for a little bit. I would love to live in New York for a year or two. I would love to go out of the country and live in like London for a year, 3 or 5 or something.
I definitely could see you being a hopper for quite a good amount of time. I don't see you setting roots anytime soon.
I don't want, there's not really some places that I have
You're
really
an
traveled
guy.
To that I'm a what?
You're an apartment guy.
Oh yeah. I don't want a house right now. Every place I've traveled to, it hasn't been like, I could be here long term.
Did you like Colorado? And I'm not meaning that from the perspective of what we went through, but like, did you like it as a state?
I liked it when we first went, like when I was in high school, but I wonder if that was just kind of like the glam of it. But where were we? We were in Denver.
Yeah.
I can't say I would go back.
When you were in high school, we went to...
our most recent time.
Denver.
That was Denver. I liked it. It was just not like...
See, what's funny is I could actually see you in Denver.
We'll see. I might have to go
back. Not like saying that you need to go there. I won't go there again.
I don't know.
I'm like, no, that's...
Or
do you think we should face it and go and like do a weekend there?
We would have to make it fun. We could do like skiing or something up there.
What if we went with just the siblings?
Really? Just the 4 of us?
And we just went and like faced our demons out in Denver. Fucking Denver. I'm being dead serious right now.
I'd be open to it. You know, I'm not going to lie.
Because I literally,
in a few years,
the morning that it happened, if you're new here, we lost our dad in Denver on a family vacation. And I literally said to the boys, I was like, I do not give a single fuck what you guys do in your lifetime. But if you get married, have a baby, stay in Denver for any extended period of time, do not call me. Do not ask me to come visit you. Like, I do not care what happens in Denver. I ain't coming. Okay. And now I'm like, I feel like that was a little extreme. Like,
well,
I was a little emotional that morning. I feel like maybe it would be a fun thing to do. And I do feel, so this is something I thought was kind of funny, and this is so off topic, and now I just brought it up. So the morning that our dad had passed, I'd scheduled and paid for all of us to go paintballing.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe the day that he passes, we should go paintballing out here.
Be open to
the
that.
people that were part of it or want to take part in it. I thought that was maybe a fun idea because our youngest brother, we were there celebrating his birthday, and that was the one thing he wanted to do for his birthday.
No, we can't really celebrate any of our birthdays.
But it's not funny. It's really not funny. I'm laughing, but it's not funny.
It's okay. You had the pain that way.
I just feel bad. Like, I'm laughing because I'm like, damn. And like, of all siblings, it would either be him or the older brother that would get that type of fucking experience of like nothing going their way.
It's sad.
It is sad. Anyways, so yeah, I'm excited to see our future. Raphael and I have talked a lot about doing Texas for a couple of years, maybe 5 max. Like, really, we're leaning more towards like 2, and then probably Tennessee for a little bit. I don't know where we'll end long term. I love the East Coast though, and I don't even necessarily mean New York.
Carolinas would be so fun.
No, further north, like New Hampshire.
Oh,
like, I kid you not, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Connecticut. To my core, like, if I could have picked the exact, like, if I could have like geographically picked where my parents conceived me and like raised me, it would have been fucking the East Coast, Upper East Coast.
So your star charts could align a little bit differently.
I'm so dead serious. Yeah, I did read into that actually. That's where my most success is at actually. Just in case you were wondering. If you guys have never done your star charts.
I'll give you my co-star account.
I don't even know what a star chart is, but it's called like an astrology map or something like that.
I don't know.
anyways, like it'll really tell you like based on where you were born, what time you were born, all that stuff, like exactly what path and like where you're supposed to live, and you want to go where like most of your lines connect, and it'll tell you like your wealth.
I have seen that.
Yeah, it'll tell you your wealth, your job, your relationships, your successes, and like you can even pick like if whatever you care most about. Say like you care most about your job, like
but like what if it's like a low number? Is like this is your highest place of success, but like shit's
some
gonna be
people
down
only
in the
care about that.
dumps.
But
well, then it's like why limit yourself to like what this chart
some people,
tells you?
You got to think people work for different things.
True.
And like people's purpose and intentions in life are all different. Like you and I might want more. We want more of a robust, fulfilled heart. But some people are like, I don't fucking care about family. Like I want to be the baddest bitch and be the CEO of fucking the world. You never know.
True.
You never know. Like that's what sparks their fire. And I don't judge. Like if that's what sparks your fire, like I love that for you. But you are right. Like I'm very much, or even like where they say like, oh fuck, there's a line through it and it said something about like not like celeb status, but like your most social, something like that. Literally, like if you read into this, I gotta find the link for it now and link it on Human too. It's actually really cool. Okay. But I'm not joking. My most
lines up in that Massachusetts
New York
area?
No, New York. Oh. But a lot of my lines cross through a lot of those. But like the most that intersect are literally in the state of New York. Not exaggerating.
Well, make sure I have an apartment there for you.
Right. Thank you. I just got so serious about that. Your star charts. I don't even know what they're called.
Out again.
I know. It's probably because I'm dehydrated.
Star charts are real, man.
Speaking of, okay, so now that we've just spent all of our time doing that, I love that you came on. I love that you were answering some questions. I think that every time that you're here and you want to partake, let's fucking do it. Last week, I talked all about like Botox, fillers, cosmetic surgeries, things that I've had done. This is my first episode on I Think I'm Human Too, where I am showing my new nose. Tuesday's episode, so this comes out Thursday. Tuesday's episode of Bleep That Out, Savannah and I were together, obviously, and well, not obviously, if you're new here, Savannah and I have a podcast as well, and it's called Bleep That Out, and my new nose was featured in that. But if you're watching this one, this is my new nose on this one, okay? I did post a questionnaire of anyone that had any questions for this week of like, from last week's episode, Botox, filler, whatever the hell you want to talk about. So let me just answer a couple questions. I'm going to try and keep it hot. They're not a lot, which is really nice, because normally most weeks I have a shit ton of questions. And I feel bad that I can't get to every one of them. So I'm going to try and rapid fire some of these. How painful was my breast reduction? I did have a breast reduction. I was told that it would be a very, very painful surgery. But the one thing my doctor said to me is that since I was so petite, I'm only 32 around. He said since I was so petite, I didn't have to have the drains or anything like that. I honestly thought it was the easiest surgery I've only been through 2. I know. Sorry. You're probably like, hey,
no, I mean like that. It wasn't like severe.
It was
chalk
so
you up
easy
to a fucking machine all the rest of your.
No, literally it was so easy. I had to take 2 weeks off, and I ended up taking the full 2 weeks off. And 2 days later, my mom was in Florida when I got my surgery done. She was visiting friends and family or whatever. I don't know why she was down there, but 2 days into my surgery, I was like, fuck this shit. I'm bored. I literally went to visit my mom because that was how
I'm bored.
I literally got on a flight to Florida, and I've spent the rest of my 2 weeks of healing in Florida. That's how not hard it was. But I have heard where a lot of other people say it sucks. The one thing it's weird is like when you first get them done, they're not setting in like the normal cup shape, like a C at the bottom. It's literally like a straight line. So your tits look like triangles for months. They say just let gravity settle them. And that is true. So just be aware that if you are going in for a breast reduction, it'll be a new, or any sort of surgery. Like it's not going to look exactly how it's supposed to be. Even like my nose right now, people are making fun of me online for my nose. And I'm like, I get that it doesn't look like what it's supposed to look like, but I've also said a million times that it takes up to a year, which I was fully prepared for. So, do you think 21 is too young to start? Should I let my face be and see how it changes? Yes and no. I think, there's certain things that at 21, I really wanted Botox, and I actually should have gotten Botox at 21 because my forehead lines were already so deep. I was no longer in my preventative stage versus Aaron has no lines. He has movement in his forehead, but he has no lines in his forehead, and you're older than 21. So I would suggest for you, no. So it's situational. I think you go sit with a cosmetic injector and just say like, even just set up a consultation time, because they do those. You can set up a consult and just be like, hey, this is like what I'm looking for. I don't suggest Instagram messaging people, because now that I know Savannah's side of things, I think that's kind of unprofessional and tacky for them to be quoting you via DMs of like, oh yeah, well I could do some Botox here, but it's like, they're not going to know until they see you in person. So schedule the consult, talk to them and just say like, hey, like this is my problem. This is what I'm looking for. Can you help that? Like, what does my long term of this look like? How often do I need to come in? What's the maintenance for it? That kind of stuff. So I think just go sit with somebody and really find, and like, if they're pushing you to do the procedure immediately or the injections, whatever, I think maybe test out some other surgeon or injectors in your area and see what they say, because I don't know. I would feel weird if they're selling you right away and they're like, hey, yeah, let's get your lips done today. Or let's load you up with 100 units of Botox now. Like that's a little extreme.
They're going in for a check at that point.
Right. And you don't want to be seeing them as a provider. I started getting work done at 23, and it was because I explained in the last episode of why I started doing work at 23, and it was because it was free to me. So let's start there. But I would have, if I could have afforded it earlier on, I would have started it earlier on. Someone was asking like the before and afters of my breast reduction size wise. Beforehand, I was a triple F, and I could not find anything in stores that would fit me. Again, I was 32 around like triple F. They took over 4 pounds out of each side. So I lost 8 pounds. It was the best 8-pound surgery loss I've ever had. And when I came out, I was sitting at like a B cup, a high B cup, low C cup, depending on what you want to call it. And you do gain weight there. So if you're naturally gaining weight in your breasts in general, that was my problem, is I would gain weight there. And then when I would lose weight, I couldn't lose it there. So I was just sitting with some big old honkers for no reason. I'm sorry you're having to listen to this. But I was just sitting there with a lot of back pain, a lot of collarbone pain. And now now when I lose weight, I can lose weight there, which is very odd. So I don't know. But when I gain weight there. So I've been between my surgery, I've been like a B to a D to a C to a B. Like I've been all over the place. It depends on where I'm at weight wise. But if you could go back, what lip enhancements would you do for your wedding? I would have gone natural, but bigger. At the time I had to dissolve, and then I think we put in like half a syringe. If I knew I was getting engaged, or if I knew I was getting married, I would have started doing like lip maintenance before my wedding for like earlier than I did. I don't know. Is that making sense? Like I did it a couple months before my wedding, and it wasn't enough time to fully dissolve, do a half syringe, wait a couple months, do another half a syringe. I literally dissolved and I could only do a half syringe. So when I look back at my wedding photos, my lips are kind of little. They're very natural to my face, which I like, but I would have gone a little bit bigger, but I didn't have the time to. So if I could go back and I knew ahead of time, like I should have dissolved right when we got engaged and then like built my lips back up, I would have done that. But it is what it is, and that's life. And if anything, I actually like that I look the most natural to what my face actually was. At that point, I didn't have any filler other than a little bit in my lips, and I only had Botox. Now I've obviously explained in my last episode all the stuff that I've had done, but advice for surgeries. I'm terrified of getting put to sleep for it. And I think that's the last one I'm going to... Oh, no, there's one more that I'm going to answer after this. Advice for getting surgery. I think it's scary. I wanted to touch on this because Savannah and I talked about this in the Bleep That Out episode. When you're going in for a life-saving medical surgery, like you get in a car accident, you don't know, they put you under, you get out of surgery, you're like, thank fucking God I'm alive. Like, thankful for the medical professionals, thankful for the doc, like thankful for all the situations. But when you go under the knife willingly, you come out with a different mindset of like, obviously you're thankful you made it out, but it is taxing on your mental health because, again, like Savannah and I said in last episode on Bleep That Out, you sit around being like, right now I'm in the mindset of like, my nose is not what I want it to look like. And I'm struggling with that because I'm struggling even looking at myself. I know in my head that I knew in my head before I went under that this is what it was going to be, as a long process, and I was willing for it, willing and able to do it. Obviously that's why I did it. But now I'm like, damn, like it really is a long process. You're going to have to look at yourself and be like, I'm not feeling my best, but it is what it is. I still have to go on camera. Like I still got to go to work. I still got to be a person. Like it is what it is. not only that, but your body's going through a lot. Like they put you under, you're on medications, you're on antibiotics, you're not able to eat, you're not able to sleep. Like I can't fall asleep in like till 2 a.m. now. And that is not like me. Like I'm in bed by 8 o'clock, like ready to go to bed at 8 o'clock every day. Like, and I could not sleep. So there's a lot of things going on. So be mentally prepared. And they do say you want to go into surgery being in a good mindset and a good mental space. So if you're going through a really depressive episode, if you're going through a really anxious state in your life, if you're fighting with your boyfriend or like your husband and you are completely arguing, like you're going to come out you really need a good solid foundation to stand on because it's a lot on your mental health. And I don't want to scare you from doing it because in a couple months, I'm going to look back and I'm going to be so thankful I did it. I'm years past having a breast reduction and I'm so fucking thankful I did it. I don't look at what the pain was. I don't look at the recovery time. I don't look at anything other than I'm just so thankful I did it. So it's really, I just say go in with the best intentions, go in with the best mind space that you can and do it. Honestly, it's the best sleep of your life. I can't even lie. So it's not, I don't know. And they do this every day. Like how many people die on the table? Like it's so fucking rare that I'm just like, cause that's my biggest thing is I was terrified of like, I just want to make it all alive. Like I just want to wake up. And then my next thing was, and I pray to God they don't fucking botch it if I do wake up. Like, you know what I mean? Like that was literally my mindset. Okay, one last thing. How was the fat buster shot in your double chin? Was it painful? So I spoke about this again last episode. I got Kybella in my double chin. I didn't really realize how much weight I held there. And Savannah was pinching my chin one day and she was like, yeah, this is definitely some excess fat that like you probably won't lose unless you were like extremely, basically like anorexic and like your body was grabbing for any fat that they can get to eat off of. So I did Kybella. Honestly, I don't know 110%, so do not quote me on this, but I think they mix it with something that makes it less painful. I want to say they mix it with lidocaine. I don't know, and again, I'm not a medical professional, but if you can find, actually, let me not give advice because I don't know 100% if that was what happened. I think they did. I'm almost positive she did. Mm-hmm. But anyways, it is painful. Yes, it's a burning sensation. The shitty part is for up to 8 weeks. 8 weeks is a very long time. You are going to look like a, what's that from Finding Nemo with the gullet, like the bird with the big ass.
Like a pelican?
Yes, no fucking joke. They say you look like a pelican or a toad because what it's doing is the Kybella is going in and it's starting to separate, like break down your fat cells. But to do that, it can't eat it at a whole. Like it literally has to break it down. So you gain a shit ton.
Oh, probably just like fall off of like where it's being held on to and then just kind of like in dispense.
And then it eats it. Yes. So for quite a few weeks, you look really tough and you're also extremely numb there. Like you can't feel much. You have no feeling now. And I was scared because Savannah warned me about all that. But then I was like, it was weeks on end where I couldn't feel. I had no sensation there. I could touch it and I could feel that I was touching myself, but there was no feeling. It was very weird.
You could feel it in your palms rather than feel it on your neck.
Yeah. And it felt like you were touching like something numb. It was weird. Same with my nose right now. Like that's like I can feel myself touching my nose, but like it's completely numb, but it's like that sensation of numb, whatever. It was scary. So, but I knew ahead of time, Savannah warned me about all that stuff. And then now like they say that you can't really you can't grow that fat back. So they say to get rid of your entire double chin, most people take up to 3 sessions of Kybella. They do Kybella everywhere. Like they can do it on your stomach. If there's like love handles you can't get rid of, if there's inner fat on your thighs. They don't advise to do some areas of your body because they're like certain areas of your body could become, they just won't whatever. Talk to your medical professional and provider for that. But I would 1010% do that again. I did not realize how much fat I just had chilling on my chin and I didn't realize it. But I think it's helped because especially if you're going in and you're getting your jaw done and you're getting your temples done and you're getting your cheeks done, everything's lifting, but you're still drawn here to the chin because there's fat. And once that's gone, like, and it's not bad to have that. Like, do not sit here and let me tell you guys, like, you need any of this. But when I was doing filler and I was still like, damn, I just like, I had a lot of weight on my chin. And then when I got rid of it, my jawline looked like I had a really nice jawline. My cheeks popped more because your eyes go to the highlight points versus the low light points. And I would 1000% do it again. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on filler, Botox, all that fun stuff?
I definitely think it's situational, person to person. I do have my own that I do want to get done in time. I do know it's like a very expensive and like kind of,
It's a luxury service.
yes, and kind of difficult process on your body just to like randomly throw in there once a day. I have had, thanks to Savannah, I had a little bit of lip filler, and that I think is, what is it called, dissolved by now. That was in like
No, you still got some.
January.
No, it's up to 2 years.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it
You can
did.
tell you still got a little, like, not like the average person would not be able to know, but you, because I know what your natural lips do look like, your
Like the
bridge
points are, like,
still
little-
sits higher up than it used to. Yeah.
Well, then I guess I need more.
I guess I need more.
No, I definitely think it kind of is like a two-way streak of like just kind of for that one singular like minimal thing I had. I went in thinking like, oh, this is gonna be so fun. Like I'm gonna have the results I'm expecting, like that, like snap of your hand. And I got out of the thing and I was just kind of like,
What
can you
did
take
do?
it out? Like,
Yeah.
I was
You were
terrified.
swollen right away.
Yes, I was like,
Yeah.
Kim,
It looks
what
good,
is
I
like
thought.
Kardashian challenge or whatever with
Yeah.
the shot glass. So I would have to say like definitely be prepared. Honestly, like it's your like who am I to judge? It's your body, your choice. Like
Right.
do whatever the hell you want. Like I'm not gonna be here being like, oh, you can do this. I also have no scientific background to be like, well, actually, this is gonna mess up your forehead even more. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna regret this in 10 years. Like I know none of
Regret
that.
this in 10 years.
You know, I think it's kind of really restrictive when like partners or whoever, like not saying this is any of our space, but are kind of like either like overly for it or overly against it. I kind of like, I'm like,
I think it should just be what you want to do.
Yeah.
I think the guys that are like, no, you need that done. I'm like, red flag.
well, yeah, it's just like you look so much better with like this or
Did I ever
this.
tell you that somebody said that about one of my girlfriends that you know?
No.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like, I'll say the name afterwards. But yeah,
Oh
her
my
ex-boyfriend was
God.
like, you need this, and this done to be pretty. Yeah, dead serious.
Well, first of all, what kind of man knows what the hell that shit is? Sounds like
Right.
you've got a.
He literally was like, I'll pay for it. I was like,
Oh,
okay. Anyways, I love that you have had something done because from a male's perspective, I think that a lot of times men think, oh, they don't get stuff done. And I think you should. I mean,
Well,
if it makes
I
you
think
feel
hate
better.
that stigma already.
Yeah.
Like even back it up even further, going to get like a manicure or something, just get your nails cleaned up. Like the way that that's
Yeah.
stigmatized even in men's salons, and then like furthermore to like more like invasive, if you want to say, like procedures. But like I think it's interesting. I think that like everyone has that access to a certain degree, like if you work toward it, put that energy into it, whatever. But I really think it's like probably a lot of more men like go through it than is realized.
Yeah.
Like
I think if it's such a confidence booster too. I don't think a lot of men realize that if there are things that you don't like about yourself, that's okay. Like you can go get them fixed. And cleanliness too, like exactly what you just said. Like you wake up and you brush your teeth every morning, you style your hair every morning. Like why would you want to go get your nails cleaned up? Or like your feet are literally crusting off. Like go get a fucking pedicure. Like it's okay.
You
Like
don't
it's
need,
not.
like-
Raphael gets a pedicure
Yeah.
every month, and I love that because I love that he's just like, yeah, like I need this. Like why is this not manly? Who cares? Like it's not manly or womanly, it's humanly. Like if you want to go clean your body up, or Raphael had gotten some Botox in his forehead because his crease lines were getting very prominent, and they're permanent. Even with his Botox, like you can still kind of see them. He said to them, he said to Savannah, he's like, I still want a little movement. Like I don't want people to be able to tell. And I did just call him out for that. So I'm not bound by HIPAA. I'm bound by wife. And the wife duty says that I can tell him anything. No, I'm just kidding. I don't share all his beans, but no, he got a little Botox in. He's actually really liked it. And he's actually now more understanding to when I get stuff done. And now he's like, I want
think
a little
it's
more Botox.
that. I think you have to like dip your toe in to
Yeah.
kind of understand and like fully become like immersed into like what that means. Cause you like once you're always seeing it on another person, you can't really like take that onto yourself and be like, huh?
Yeah.
Until you get like even like, I don't know how much a unit or like the smallest amount to like critique, you know, your pain points. Or
It also goes back to the conversation we had a little bit earlier of like our friend group is so open to doing different things and testing new things. And I'm very thankful for my husband for being that way, because when you look at him and you knew nothing about him, all you knew is from his physique, a lot of people would think that he would get judged stereotypically of being like that hard-headed, like, I'm a man's man. And like, Raphael's like, I'm down to do whatever. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, he'll go do a spa day with me if I want. Like, it's not, to him, it's not about, we literally have done couples massage days and like retreat days. He's not about like, oh, does a man or a woman do this? He's just more like, well, why do women do this? And like, they do it regularly. So there's got to be a reason for it. I don't know. I think it's very, like, if a man goes to a massage, like if you get a massage to loosen your muscles because you work a construction job and like your back hurts all the time, what hurt does it do to just get a facial while you're there, or get a scalp massage? Like, what women, I don't know. I just think it's odd. Or get a manicure while you're there, stuff like that. So I think we're going to wrap this episode up. This has been the longest episode I've ever done, and we've literally just been going the entire time.
Yeah.
So I just love it.
It's like a part 2 to like Botox and work, but it also is like,
yeah, this was completely 2 different
barely
episodes.
that.
Yeah, which I love. That was fine because we didn't have too many episodes or too many questions to get through. And I love your perspective. I almost wish that I would have scheduled the time to do this with you one-on-one and like do a whole podcast episode on it. But I think it's a fun little intro to the people that are listening. And if they want more, they can ask more. I know you and I used to do episodes together way more often, or not way more often, but we did a couple together, and it was very like,
the intent, and then life kind of got
we
difficult.
We were also in a very
vulnerable space.
Yes. And like, we didn't know how to handle the things that we were talking to each other about. And like, at that time, like, people were asking like, oh, well, how do you handle this? And like, we weren't ready to talk about death yet. We weren't ready to talk about the grieving process.
I mean, still barely can't do it. So I mean,
no, you can. You're way better now. But
I'm just saying,
then like, we would skip over those questions. So I'd be like, how are you doing mentally? And Aaron would be like, hey, and I'd be like, same, literally same.
LOL.
Like, that's it. But so yeah, thank you guys for listening. We will be back next week. I actually have my first time guest coming to the studio that is not blood related, not family, not friends, not marriage. And I'm very excited to.
I'm excited for you.
I know. I can't wait.
To watch.
So she's going to come. We're going to hang out. We're going to chat about some of her life. She is a Minnesota influencer, which I think is so freaking cool. Funny story, full circle story with her. And I promise I'm going to wrap this up. She, also does makeup on the side. So there's a couple clues for you guys there. And when I was planning my wedding, before I even knew who she even was, people on my page were sending me her to use her as a makeup artist for our wedding, which was years ago. So
wait, was she the real like makeup artist at your wedding?
No.
Okay, never mind.
I didn't end up using her, but that's how I found her.
Gotcha.
Because I went to her page, I was like, holy shit, she has a ton of followers. And then I found out like she does makeup kind of as a part-time gig. And actually, she will not be doing it next year, which is kind of fun. But like, she's taking a time off to be with her family and stuff. But she's a mom. She's local to Minnesota, born and raised. I am so excited to get her on. She's got so many cool life experiences, good, bad, ugly. But she is real and so open, so vulnerable, so raw on her page. And that's my favorite part about pretty much everyone that I have on here, is that I want them to just be themselves and be open and honest about the things they go through. And I think she's got a lot of touch points. So I'm excited to have her on. So
stay tuned.
We will have her next week. Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye, y'all.